Hello and welcome to another episode of Swim Sets by the Pool. This is the podcast where you get free swim workouts and tips on how to swim better. My name is Nathan Cohen. I'm a professional triathlete. With me is Kyle Brill, D1 swimmer, and Kyle has brought a guest from far away. Okay, not that far away. He's in California, but Kyle, who's our guest we got today?
Yeah, so I'm super honored to introduce you guys to Dan Marella. He has quite an extensive resume. He was my captain, first of all, when I came into Santa Barbara my freshman year. He was my senior, led me through, got me, told me how to swim in college. First met him through that, but he's also done an amazing amount of things. He's currently the assistant coach of Pepperdine. He did a 10-mile swim in the ocean solo to raise $15,000 for charity. And he has amazing stories to tell, and he's a really talented musician as well. So he's kind of does it all. Very well-spoken guy. So we're super glad to have you on the podcast, Dan, and welcome to Swim Sets by the Pool.
Thanks, guys. That's a great introduction. I hope I can live up to that, and I'm just excited to talk swimming. I think it's great that you guys have a platform for this, and just excited to dive into whatever topic we want to dive into here. And so, I think we have three beautiful pools in our background
Oh
right
yeah,
here.
great
Uh,
pools.
RIP campus pool for your background there, Kyle. It's one that we definitely
Yeah.
spent a lot of time in together, and I got the Pepperdine pool behind me. And then Nate, it's the Ventura College pool, right?
No, this is actually just the community pool,
Oh,
Ventura
the
Aquatic
community
Center.
pool.
Yeah, the college pool sank into the ground. At
Oh,
Ventura. Yeah, Ventura College. RIP that pool. What's up
Yeah,
with
that might happen
pools?
to the campus pool soon too. That thing's been drained for a while now, and yeah, I don't know when that thing's going to get revived. So some of these pools might be in jeopardy, but as of now, they're very beautiful in the background. So
Okay, wait. Before we get into swimming, Dan, what instrument do you play?
I professionally play the drums. I say professionally because that's the
What?
one that I get paid for to play. But I can play drums, bass, guitar, all percussion instruments. That's pretty much it. It was the product of, being in college during COVID, and having more productive things. I thought that was a more productive thing to do than some of the other stuff that we were doing, back when it all started. And so I taught myself how to play guitar and bass during that time. And yeah, that's actually what I majored in. I majored in music when I was at UCSB. So
Dude, that's awesome. I freaking love drums. That's so fun. Fun fact, I actually won a guitar set. Well, I didn't win. I made it to the finals at my Guitar Center's drum off, and I beat my friend Corbin, who was the drummer in my band. So yeah.
dude, I feel like they don't do those anymore. I feel like that was
Ah,
such like
man.
a mid 2000s like YouTube era type
Yeah.
thing, and man, we're lost as a society now.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, we're all just like
Y-
trying to get fit, I guess. I don't know.
I guess, and that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, that's why we're here.
yeah, and one more thing with Dan's music too. Even though it's a swim podcast, we're getting a little sidetracked. Dan's music is also incredible. He does a ton of songs and releases them on Spotify, and my mom loves them so much she'll clean the house to them. And he's always her number one artist when Spotify rap comes out. So we need to make sure we drop a link in the description to Dan's
Oh,
music so
dude,
you
heck yeah. Maybe we need
get
to
get into it.
wait.
Yeah.
Do you play any instruments, Kyle?
No, no, but I love listening to Dan's music almost
Shoot.
as much as my mom. And I say almost because my mom like triples the amount of hours I have.
You could learn, Kyle. It's not too late to learn an
Okay,
instrument.
Kyle, you're gonna sing. I'll play guitar. Dan will play drums. We'll make a little intro for the podcast.
I
We'll
don't think I
Perfect.
signed up for that, but
we'll
maybe you
record.
can convince me in a few future
You could
episodes.
just do background vocals. We'll auto tune you if you sound terrible.
Yeah, exactly,
Perfect.
Kyle.
That sounds like a plan, guys.
We need a jingle. We need like a little intro jingle, like swim sets by the pool. I don't know something. I don't know. We'll come
We'll
up
get
with it.
around to it.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways,
Motivate me.
okay. Well, that's a great intro. Honestly, I love music. That's so cool. But yeah, I guess we're here to talk about swimming. I guess this is a swimming podcast. But Dan, do you have like a quick tip for us for the people?
Oh, quick tip about swimming. Well, swimming is a hard sport. It is, I mean, you guys are more of the expert in the triathlete world, but the ones that I always run into, they always say the swim part is the hardest part. I think it would be kind of two. I think for those that are getting into swimming, I think consistency is the best thing that you can do. A good practice isn't going to make you so much better, and a bad practice isn't going to make you so much worse, right? You just got to do it every day, be consistent. And I think for those in more of like the club and college world, when it comes to swimming, I think recovery is just as important as training, if not more important. I think sleeping, I think water are the two major ways to get better in the sport. I think there's a lot of crap that goes around, with supplements and all that. None of that matters if you're not sleeping enough, you're not drinking enough water, and if you're not eating enough. And so those are kind of my quick tips. I would say consistency and recovery.
Nice, nice. And probably not drinking pool water. Probably not.
Not
That
pool
doesn't
water, not
count.
pool water. Kyle may have his freshman year, but
Dude, he did it
I'm
today. He did it today. He's like,
okay.
"Oh, we're about to record a pod with Mark. Let me just get some water." He just dips his hand in the pool. I'm like, "What? I peed in that pool today, dude."
All right, no
yeah.
need to call me out on the podcast. But, hey, you're when you swim out every day your whole life, you get used to the pool water. It's familiar taste. You gotta sometimes
That's true.
I
But if
drink.
you're thirsty, anyone thirsty enough would drink it. My threshold is just a little different than most people.
Yeah, yeah. He also drinks out of the sink at my house, and I'm like, "Dude, I have filtered water." He's like, "I like the sink." He just puts the hose straight in his
I'm with you
mouth.
there, Kyle. I'm fine with sink water.
Okay, nice. That's awesome. Dude, we're gonna cover so many things on this pod. I'm loving where this is going. But yeah, so Dan brought an awesome set for us today. First off, I like to know a little bit about you. Like, what events did you swim in college? Obviously, you were in a Division 1 program in California, and yeah. So, like, what were your main events? I'm assuming you probably swam in high school. Did you like
Yeah.
change from high school to college in your events, or?
I swam all my life. I'm, one of those kids that started when I was really young, in like summer league and joined a club probably when I was 6 years old, and stayed with that club all through high school. When I was in high school, I was definitely like a mid-distance IMer.
Mm,
I was thrown in the mile a little bit, long course, just because, my club needed the points. And we ended up winning, I think, one sectional meet and one futures meet, which was awesome as a club. And when I got to college at UCSB, I was recruited as an IM and a breaststroker,
mm.
but I kind of wrote my own death note my first summer training camp because my club, I did a lot of aerobic swimming. I think Kyle, you can say the same thing. I know a lot of clubs around the country are doing a ton of aerobic work. And when I was 18, I could just churn yardage. And so they threw me in the mile my freshman year and it worked out. And so to answer your question, I was a breaststroke IM or distance freestyler. And my events at our conference championship spread out. I didn't swim the same three events in any of my 4 years. So
Oh wow.
I swam, both IMs. I swam the 200 breaststroke a couple times. I swam the mile a couple times. The year that I got knee surgery, which was during COVID, I did the 200 free, 500 free, and the mile. And so definitely was kind of a unique. Definitely, I think the combination of IM breaststroke and distance freestyle was a little bit unique, but also throwing in the knee surgery and the COVID year also made it pretty unique. So I've definitely been kind of on those, grueling 400 IM mile practices, but I've also gotten those really nice, kind of sprinty 200 free, 200 breast practices. And so that's kind of what I used to swim. Nothing sprint. I could not sprint. I'm 5'11" on a good day. And so I didn't get those Kyle Brill jeans or, those big sprint Matt Driscoll jeans. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, don't
That's
worry. I was doomed to not be a sprinter either, even though people said I should be. I have no fast twitch in my body, so don't feel bad, Dan.
yeah.
yeah, that's wild. I swam the 4 a.m. 500 free and mile my one season at college. But yeah, that was just because literally no one else would swim the 400
Right.
IM. So I,
Right.
I got thrown into. I think I got DQ'd in my first 4 a.m., but they still made me do it. But
That's a tough lineup.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome though. And so did you get the knee surgery because you were doing a lot of breaststroke? Or was it
No,
unrelated?
I totally unrelated.
Okay.
My senior year of high school, I was playing basketball. I
Mm.
love playing basketball. I'm not great at it. I just love playing. And my senior year, I dislocated my knee, and I elected to not to go do surgery because they told me, it's gonna heal. It's fine. So I went on a lot of my recruiting visits actually as a senior on crutches, which I know that I'm sure a lot of the coaches weren't super stoked about. And then I got to UCSB, had a couple issues. There were some days where I would literally push off the wall, and I could feel it kind of move. And it got to a point where, there was a couple times where I was going down the stairs in my house, I could feel it move. And then the final straw was during that COVID year, our first team event. We were doing our first like outdoor team event during COVID. We were playing spike ball, and I went for the ball, and it just totally came out. And I talked to my athletic trainer, and they said, this is the best year to do it. And so I got surgery in October, and I was competing in January. And so definitely pushed the envelope there in recovery, but it was a wild time.
Dang, that's crazy. What did they do for the surgery for that?
Yeah, so I tore my MPFL, which is my medial patellar femoral ligament. It's not like an ACL, MCL. It wasn't like a big, big, big deal. And so they put a piece of cow in there, and it's still in me. And it was crazy. I think I really during that time felt like I really needed to just like lock in so I changed my diet. I literally did not eat meat. I really wanted to compete and score at our conference meet because I also was elected captain as a junior in college. um, and my fellow captain elected to stay home like a lot of other people did, and so it was just me with our men. And I really felt like it was important for me to get back as fast as I could. So it's definitely a lifestyle change, and yeah, it was a crazy time. I don't know if I would do the same thing again if I was in that position again.
Yeah, that's wild. Um, that's cool though. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Well, sweet. I guess we're gonna dive into the set now.
perfect.
This is a 200 stroke set, and
Hmm.
I'm excited for this because I like mixing up the stroke, and I think triathletes and stuff can really benefit from doing some stroke work in their training. So
Yeah,
I think this is sweet to throw this set in. So yeah, take us through it.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
real quick too.
Oh,
Sorry, Dan, to interrupt. Yeah, and then yeah, if you could mention too, like, did you do this as a swimmer, or as a coach, and
mm,
like, and how did your athletes respond if you did it as a coach, and how did you respond if you did it as a swimmer? It'd be great for people to hear your input since you've been on both sides of the equation, which is something we don't see too often. So anyway, yeah,
yeah.
I'll let you carry
oh
away with
yeah.
it.
I think, yeah, I think that part, I think being as relatively young as I am in the college world. So this is my fourth year at Pepperdine. I started as a volunteer my first year. Now I'm fourth year, so third year full time. And it's definitely interesting for me to be so close to my athletic years, because, I remember what it's like being 18 years old in a huge lecture hall and failing a midterm and then trying to turn around and go to 400 IM practice. Like that's really hard to do. And I also remember kind of the social pressures and like the weight of, like, oh, like, something happened on Saturday and now I got to turn around on Monday and like act like nothing happened. You know what I mean? And like that kind of stuff, I feel like gets lost as people get older. And I'm starting to lose that now, where like it's getting a little bit harder for me to relate to like the freshmen and underclassmen now. Whereas when I first started as a volunteer right after school, I was like, yeah, I totally get it. Like, this was me like 4 months ago. And so, yeah, so this set, this is for my fly and breaststroke group. And this was done kind of right before we started to taper for our conference championship. And so last year was definitely an interesting year for us. We had to evacuate because of the Los Angeles fires. I can get into that after I explain this set. But this set needs a little bit of context. I really like doing a lot of 200 speed work. And kind of in our sharpening cycle is what I like to call it, and my head coach likes to call it. We do a lot of aerobic work. We're doing a lot of aerobic work right now. As we go through mid-October, we kind of like to introduce that kind of speed. And once we're in February, I mean, our girls are fit, like they are, they're aerobic monsters by then, right? And so here we're trying to basically promote outspeed. We're promoting being a little bit uncomfortable on the front end because that's what you're going to feel when you get to February or March when you're at conference or NCAAs. And so this set is really designed to make you uncomfortable from the get-go. And so there's a little bit of a pattern here. You see some 75s, some 50s, and some other 75s. And so each subset, so it's 2 rounds of this whole thing, but it's really like 3 mini sets within 1 round. So it's basically 6 rounds of this whole thing. And they're almost all broken 250s ish. And so what you see in that first part, you have a 75s from the blocks or from the roll. Outspeed. So my flyers, I would love them to be under 45 because they want to be out in under a minute. My breaststrokers, we have a little bit of a range, but some of our girls want to be out 105 or better. Some of them I want to be out 106, 107. That's where you need to be. The whole set is a waste if you're not being aggressive, because anyone can do a 50 pace if they're feeling good or bad, if they have a bunch of rest before. And then that last 50 race that you see there, you know anyone can do that if you're not being aggressive. And so got to be aggressive on that first 75. Then you have a 50 pace. That 50 make is freestyle, which I think is pretty sneaky. 50 free on 40 for just kind of almost like an active recovery. That's really, really sneaky into a 50 as fast as you can go. So what you're seeing is really fast 75, then you got to go a 50 pace, being pretty tired. Then you have a moderate 50 on 40, probably getting anywhere from like 7 to 5 seconds of rest, and then you're going all out. So if our girls want to go 201 in the 200 fly on that 50 race, they better be well under 30 on that last 50. That's the goal. And then you have those 450s. AR is just active recovery. Again, 50 is not, that's not a slouch interval, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can't just totally check out there. Then we get about on the blocks, and then it's different. So instead of a 75, it's a 50. Again, kind of writing in my notes, you want to be out under 32, you want to be out under 29. And then instead of a 50 pace, it's a 75 pace. 75 pace is king. That is hard to do. Then you got a 50 again, and then you got a 50 race. 450s active recovery, and then my favorite part is definitely this last bit, because you got to go 75 again, got to go 75 pace, and those 425s. It's not written in the set, but I can imagine what I did is I asked our girls to do flutter breast and flutter fly instead of doing swimming. It's just a little bit of a different stimulus. Flutter breast, when done correctly, is incredibly hard. Flutter fly, when done correctly, is incredibly hard, especially on the 25. And so when you have that kind of sprint mode, your heart rate's getting above, 170, 180, 190, you're getting into those kind of anaerobic ranges like you would in a race. That's what we're trying to simulate. And then you do it again. And so it's about 1,200 of really high quality stroke work. And I just think, again, you can't really do this set in September. That's not something that we're doing right now. But I think with that base that you get from September and October, especially a really hardy winter training camp like we do here, this is perfect to promote that outspeed, kind of that gutsy swimming with that pace and make, and then see what you got. And the way I like to explain it to our girls is, look, you got, out of this, you have about 6 reps of pace, 6 reps of racing, and you have 6 outspeeds. Like, so in total today, I'm asking you for 18 efforts, which for them, I think they can kind of wrap their head around
Mhm.
versus, okay, I have to do 1,200. Like, that's hard when you frame it like that. But 18 efforts in a world where, people are doing 6 to 7,000 yards or meters, like, I think that's a little bit easier to kind of wrap your head around. So that's the set I brought in today.
Yeah, wow. That is brutal. That would strike fear into my heart, especially seeing that even towards the end of the season as a guy that did 200s. Wow, that yeah. That is it's definitely like doable, which I think is why it's so scary. I think it's really well written in my opinion because it's like it almost like I was getting like the chills like imagining myself swimming through that and seeing a coach put that up in front of me, because like man, yeah, that would kick me in the butt. And I think that would and if you're a triathlete, this may be like a bit confusing, but in terms of being a competitive swimmer, like yeah, that is a difficult set,
No, I mean it's
especially if
it's pretty
yeah.
straightforward. Is this sorry, this might be a silly question. Are you guys doing this at long course, 50
No, we
or
did this one
yards?
short course.
Okay, short course
Short
yards.
course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that makes it a little more digestible for me because I'm like, dude, that'd
Yeah,
be tough long
yeah.
course.
And I think also, with just the trends in swimming, like a lot of things are becoming a sprint. Like I feel like 10 years ago, the 200 free was starting to develop into this very long sprint, but now the 500 has become this really long sprint. And I think also like in today's world, quality over quantity in swimming is becoming such a necessity and it's becoming way more common. And I think I like what you said there, Kyle. It's like, I look at that set and it's different than looking at like 4100s pace. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think to kind of relate it to, the triathlete world as well, and something that I talk to our master swimmers here, it's like you can do zone 2 all day, right? But how
Mm-hmm.
much better is that going to get you? But when you do a little bit of speed work, and I like telling this to my distance girls as well, 500 is a very large barrier in the 500 free in swimming for women. And, if your best times, let's just say a 52 in the 100 free, you're asking your body to do 5 100s at about 85% of your max capacity. But if you can get your max capacity faster, let's say you can go 50, you're asking your body to do much less for 5 100s. And so I've tried to explain that to our master swimmers here. I'm not sure how much that's going through their head, but yeah.
No, yeah, that's so true. I mean, we've talked about this on the pod before. There was a like study done over like Ironman swim times, and the Ironman swim is like 2.5 miles.
Mhm.
there's a direct correlation. It's like 93% correlation between people who can swim a fast 100 and who swam a fast Ironman swim time.
Hmm.
So if you could swim 100 and like low 50s, like under 52 or something, you were probably going to be in the top like 5 or 10% of Ironman swimmers as well.
Right. And I think also, if you look around the swim world, I mean, I swam with this guy named Logan Hotchkiss. He was one of our, I think it was our most recent NCAA qualifier, and he was 4:14 in the 500. That's wicked fast. But this guy was also on our A 100 or 400 free relay. Like this guy could throw down a 43 in the 100. And it's just like, this kind of data has been in front of us for a long time. And so I am just glad that I think it's being incorporated quite a bit now, in all levels of swimming.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And I honestly like this set too. Like you kind of compared it to 4100s. This is
Hmm.
nice because the pace like moves around throughout each little
Hmm.
round, which is really nice. And I like getting out of the pool too and like getting off the blocks. Like even though that's not like the most applicable thing for a triathlon, I still like that feeling because I mean, Mark said it when you push off the wall, it's the fastest you're going to be. And it's like same like
Yeah.
diving into the pool. Like, so if you can hold on to that speed for a little bit and then eventually like say you hold on it to for a few strokes and then you're holding on to
Yeah.
it to the end of the pool and then like that's how you just like build that foundation of speed, which is yeah, super
Yeah.
key. So I want to do this set when I come back from this collar road thing.
Yeah, and talking about too, like with Mark, about how important it is to get out and be fast, to especially to that first buoy in swimming. Like triathletes may not think that they
Hmm.
need any speed work, but being able to catch up to somebody when they're trying to drop you, or getting out in front so you can get on a faster guy, stuff like that is so crucial. And even like a triathlete could benefit immensely. Maybe not doing this butterfly or breaststroke, but
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
Right.
can
Dude, it
modify this to a
freestyle. Yeah.
freestyle, this could be so advantageous for a triathlete to do once in a while, to kind of work up that speed play, even if you don't have to do this like every other day you're training. But
Hmm.
throwing a set like this in once in a while for anybody of any discipline is like, I wouldn't say it's crucial, but it seems to be extremely helpful. And it seems to be like, yeah, how it's trending these days with anything, even an Ironman distance swim, but especially for somebody that's doing a 200 stroke. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like everyone can benefit from this, which is a really cool concept, even though it might seem distant at first, to yeah, how somebody normally might train or something like that. But
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing I might put this in the show notes. If you're a triathlete and like you don't do a ton of stroke work, I would challenge you to do the first and third set freestyle, but the middle one fly. I think that would be
Yeah.
awesome. Because like
That'd be
the
great.
fourth 50 is always free anyways, right?
It would be that stroke. So like that race 50 or
Okay.
those race 25s, that would be the
Oh,
stroke.
sorry,
But yeah.
the third one where it's just make,
Oh,
that's just
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
freestyle.
always
Yeah,
freestyle.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The third one make is just freestyle. Yeah, that's yeah, I think that would be awesome. That would be a super fun way to do it. But yeah,
Yeah. I also think like, man, this is going to be embarrassing to admit. I actually just got out of the pool. I just swam. I don't
nice.
swim very much. And like, I can do freestyle like like easy, like all day. But like, dude, doing a 50 fly is so hard now. And so like just think about what you're saying though. Like seriously, like if you even if you want to throw in, like make that 50 make fly or breaststroke just something that you would never do. You don't have to do it on the 40, but your heart rate is just gonna skyrocket, which is great. I think that's just great.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, swimming's getting so fast, and like I see some of the times like people are swimming in some of these events, and I just like I can't even like comprehend it. And like I swim with like
Yes.
the junior squad sometimes here in Ventura, and like there's a girl who like crushed me in like 100 free long course. She swims like 57, and I'm like,
Mhm.
dang, like I just got beat by like a 17-year-old girl. It's just like some like people are getting so fast and it's just like so crazy too. Like I really don't think triathlon has peaked yet in swimming. Um just because of like how high of a level like swimming is going to right now. So I think
yeah.
this could have like repercussions in like the triathlon world where like Ironman times and like Olympic distance tri swimming like goes to another level. So yeah.
This type of training right here, the set like Dan brought up here though, is mostly the reason that change is happening so fast though too. Is people are not just cranking out yards and yards and yards. And with triathlon, I think it's the same way. People are doing speed work and they're doing more complex sets that work different muscles and work different, parts of the body and work different aerobic capacities and it's it's taken the sport to a new level so fast, and I think it's been
Hmm.
really cool to see that transition. And sets like these are very, very much part of the responsibility for that. And it's been cool to see our sport progress so much while also seeing these sets start to be brought in by some of the best coaches in swimming. And I feel like in triathlon, seeing this too with all disciplines, like intervals with cycling or strides with running being incorporated, or intervals with running. Like this is basically the version of intervals or strides
Hmm.
for swimming. So
Hmm.
it all kind of plays into each other. And this is kind of the new wave that is really getting people fast, like really, really fast. So
Hmm.
really cool to see this.
Okay.
Yeah, and just, I mean, small anecdote. Like, I got recruited to UC Santa Barbara as a 204, 200 breaststroker, just under 4 minutes in the 400 IM, and I don't know, like 151 in the 200 IM. That kind of athlete profile. Now, I'm not sure that staff would even like give me an email back. Like, just like from that was from 2017 or 2018, and like I was a C finalist at junior nationals with those times, you know what I mean? And now it's like I don't even know if that makes the meet. I was just recruiting over at Futures in Sacramento, and I'm very more much tuned into the women's times because this is a women's only program at Pepperdine. But like I was shocked. I was watching the D final of the 200 free long course, and a kid won it with a 152, a D final. So he got 25th with a 152. When I was in high school doing like that is a 1000% like top five, top six swim at a futures meet. Like it's ridiculous how much faster it's gone. And I think it's great. Like I think the sport is finally kind of catching up on the science side. Like I always like making the comparison to track. Like I think
Hmm.
track is so scientific, right? Like these guys are running 100-meter dash in 9 seconds. Like there's so small room for error, right? And like stride measurements, like tempos and all that. Like I don't know much about the sport, but
Hmm.
I know that there's a lot more data about it. And I think like University of Virginia, obviously their women's team is like the greatest dynasty in college athletics, but like they are incorporating that scientific part. I think, just like the baseline scientific part, like heart rate monitors, I'm sure so many triathletes are using that type of stuff.
Hmm.
Just like, actually getting that data. And then also on the recovery side, the sleep, the heart rate variability, the resting heart rate. Like, I feel like swimming is finally catching up. I don't know that we've gotten to like that precipice, that peak. Like, I know people talk about like the Usain Bolt 2008, like that was
Hmm.
like the peak of track, right?
Yeah,
And I know
yeah.
like Sydney McLaughlin right now is just like crushing it. And maybe this is the peak of women's track, but swimming, like it's coming. I don't think it's
Hmm.
happened yet. I think it's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you see
great.
records from 40 years ago that are still standing today. You don't see a swimming record over 15 years old, and that the only reason they are some are 15 years old is because they let these super suits that were literally moving people's organs around to be legal for like 1 or 2 years, and we're
Yeah.
still crushing those. And so it's like swimming is just on an exponential curve up that a
Hmm.
lot of other sports have hit that plateau, and swimming and especially triathlon too. Like
Hmm.
I've seen it with both now, are both on that giant curve upward, and it's pretty cool to be part of that era where that's happening, because I think maybe when we're a lot older, it will eventually, science will catch up to it. It will hit that plateau, but we have not seen it yet. It has not hit, so it is pretty cool to see
Hmm.
that happening to both the sports.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I got one last question before we start to wrap it up. As a coach at the collegiate level, you said
Hmm.
like you're doing a lot more quality, and like this is obviously like a super high quality set. Do you think
Hmm.
with the increase in quality, are you guys bringing down like the total like yardage, or do you think the total yardage is the same as like 4 or 5 years ago when you were swimming at college?
Um, I would say what we're doing, it's probably maybe just a little bit less than like 4 or 5 years ago. I know some programs are doing a lot less,
Hmm.
and I know that there's some programs that are still doing more than they were doing 4 or 5 years ago. I think it depends on the philosophy that you come from. Yeah, like you said, like we're trying to focus on as much quality as we can. I mean, we only have two swim coaches on staff. It's just myself and our head coach, Ellie Minobi. And so, like, we try to break up as much as you can. I mean, we're breaking up into at least two groups a day, if not four at most. Um, and that being said, like I think there are types of cycles that we go through. Like right now, we haven't split up once, and we're in the middle of September. Like we're all just kind of doing general swimming, lots of drilling, low aerobic. Like today was kind of our big test set of the fall, 2100's best average on 140. Like that's old school.
Hmm.
That's great. And when with my distance girls, because I am the primary distance coach here, like I will sit down with them probably next week and talk about the roadmap. And yes, October for us looks very similar to what I think a lot of people were doing for years. Like it's gonna be that best average stuff. Like it's gonna be, we're probably not gonna do it this year, but like last year we did 15,200 best average short course. Like that is just something, it's a baseline thing for us. Um, and I think that kind of stuff is absolutely necessary. And I think that's actually where we do miss the plot a little bit. I think we see great stuff coming out from, some of the best coaches in the world. Like I think like Herbie Bem over at ASU, he shares a lot of stuff that they're doing and he's kind of leading the sprint revolution. But you got to understand the stuff that he's posting is like the 1 to 2% of stuff that they do,
Hmm.
right? Like I would be shocked if his sprinters aren't doing some sort of low aerobic work, that kind of 120 to 160 range. They obviously are, right? I think Salo, who's actually now with him at ASU, like he posts stuff all the time. And yes, those guys are doing some super hyper specific stuff. But again, they have to kind of do that meat and potato work. And so like this set that I shared, like, yeah, I think it's great. If you have the base to build off of it. And so to answer your question, yeah, I think we just kind of overall we're doing a little bit less. I think especially now, like when we have a sprinter, we had a sprinter last year who graduated. She was the best sprinter that we had, 2250 freestyler. She didn't do anything over 100. And it's just like you look at someone like that, it's like, okay, you know, she doesn't really need to do more than like 4,500 to 5,000 a day. In fact, like some of the days, like on our sprint Fridays, like which is I love that day. I coach the 50 freestylers. We're doing like 2,000 yards
Hmm.
because we're training for 22 seconds. Like, you know, she doesn't need to do 10 300s best average. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, dude, Dan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Kyle, do you have anything else real quick before he gives us his hot take about swimming?
Yeah, and I think yeah, hot take, and then I think it just has to be mentioned, Dan, because I like we couldn't do this podcast without you mentioning it. Your team last conference, if you could just give like a 1 or 2 minute like just
Yeah.
before you drop your hot take, let it like take us through really quick what went down at the end of your season and like how you guys overcame that and what the result was because I just want you guys
Yeah.
to know
Oh
what
yeah,
Dan was
shoot.
what
Yeah.
what he was going through as a coach last season while they were doing this set. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, man, it may take me more than 2 minutes, which I hope is okay. Yeah, look, last year it's no secret Los Angeles had two devastating wildfires. Obviously, the huge, huge, huge one in January, and we had one actually here in Malibu in December, which I think was actually a blessing in disguise, which I'll get to. But in December, right before our first winter training camp cycle, we had one that basically got to campus. It was really bad. We learned that our campus is virtually indestructible, actually. Our girls, I got a call at like 3 in the morning, and my initial thought was like, oh shoot, I overslept. I missed morning practice. But it's like, no, like our girls are evacuating up to Santa Barbara because this is happening. Fortunately, all of our girls were fine. And basically we came back, everything was good, and then the big Los Angeles fire happened, and we were actually in Disneyland as a team during our winter training camp because we had fundraised for it, and we were in Disneyland. I remember getting the notification on my phone and having to tell our girls, you know, we're gonna go back to campus. We're not gonna know what it looks like. And we got back the next morning. We figured some things out, and we evacuated to Fresno for 9 days. And there we're lucky enough, Gene and that staff over at Fresno State, they let us train there for 9 days. We actually were supposed to have a swim meet and we raced, believe it or not, while evacuated. And then we went down to San Diego because we were scheduled to race University of San Diego and we raced. So in total, we were gone for 12 days. Um, you know, Unfortunately, two of our members did lose their house during this time, during the fire. It was just such a grounding moment for myself and I think for our staff and for our girls because you zoom out and it's like, this is life and death we're talking about. Like, normally we talk about swimming and we're so privileged and so grateful to talk about swimming. Like, it was so weird to wake up early and just feel grateful to be on a pool deck when it's 35 degrees outside and we're just happy to be there because we were safe and healthy and we were in a hotel and we were getting all three meals in. Whereas a lot of our neighbors out here in LA lost everything. And so for our girls, we really felt like, this was an opportunity for them to like we didn't know, like we had no idea. We had no idea what they were gonna respond to. And our girls had nothing but grace and compassion and were a shoulder to lean on and a pedestal to celebrate successes. And we got back to campus, celebrated a senior day, uh, um, tapered, and we had one of the most Disney movie-esque endings to a season you could ever think of. We went into conference, and the message from the staff was, "We already won because we're here." We went in and we won by 12 points.
Dang.
And for those that don't know, like the scoring of swimming, 12 points in swimming at a conference championship is like winning by like a tenth of a point in basketball. Like it is Kawhi Leonard 2019 Eastern Conference Finals. Like it was bananas. And all of that, all the credit to our girls, to be adaptable, to roll with the punches, and to, be okay with, hey, we don't know what tomorrow, we don't even know what this evening's going to be like. We don't know where, I haven't ordered dinner for us yet. Like for them to handle that, it was great. And so, yeah. And my hot take is the 200 fly is the easiest 200 in the sport. Short course, short course.
Wait,
200 fly.
what?
The 200 fly short course is the easiest 200. 200 back is really hard. And I was not a backstroker, so maybe that's why I think that. If you swam the 200 free untapered, that is one of the hardest events in the sport. 200 breast, I was a breaststroker. Kyle, I'm sure you can relate. I didn't think it was that bad.
It wasn't. It really wasn't. People that say
Like,
it, yeah,
yeah,
it's not that many strokes. You're
no.
not working every muscle. Yeah.
Short course, it's like 5 strokes a lap for guys. Dude, cake. 200 IM is difficult. I've swum some 200 IMs where I kind of got in on the fly, and it was one of those feelings where it was like, oh no, you know. But the 200 fly, dude, 5, 6 dolphins off every wall, similar to breaststroke, like it's cash. I don't think it's that hard.
Hmm. Dang, that's a hot
Wow.
take right there.
Very hot take. I mean, I barely do the 200 fly, so I feel like I can't speak on it, but
I
I
barely.
didn't really swim it much either, but like I did it in a couple of meets when I was in college, and I remember getting out and being like, that was fine.
I mean, I
yeah,
barely
yeah,
do. I barely do any dolphin kicks off the wall. More or less 5 or 6. That's crazy,
yeah, you're gonna bruise some butterflies egos with that one, but that's
Yeah,
what the
gosh.
podcast is for. So
dude.
we
That's
don't.
honestly a great hot take. That is so
Yeah.
good.
If any of my girls listen to this and they hear that, they're gonna be pissed. So,
That's why we're here. That's why we're
yeah.
here. Make people think. Well, dude, Dan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Where can people like follow you and stuff? Okay, like your music and then also just like personal stuff, like
Yeah,
whatever.
my music, my personal stuff, which is like music, I've kind of actually created 2 accounts now.
Hmm.
It's just Dan Marell, DanMarel. It is that's been my username since I was like 12.
Nice.
And then actually for the swim stuff, I started a new one just to kind of separate the two careers. It's just called Coach Marella. And I'll be posting a lot of stuff. It's going to be anything from some sets I've been sharing on my stories to just pictures of the team, pictures of the girls. We have a great group of girls here. I'm just so fortunate to work with them. And um, when I first started here as a coach, I didn't feel like a lot of 22-year-olds at the time had something to look forward to every day. And still, like I still look forward to going to practice, especially when I think it's a good one.
Hmm.
And just being able to recruit, being able to still be involved with the sport that kind of, I met all my friends through the sport. Like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't know Kyle.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't know Kyle if it wasn't for swimming, right? I'm so looking forward to our alumni weekend over at UC Santa Barbara, and it's all due to swimming. And so I'm just so grateful to keep doing what I love doing.
Nice. Well, sweet. Kyle, you
Yeah,
got
Dan.
any closing thoughts, or we're all good?
No, I think Dan wrapped it up there beautifully. I think this swimming as a sport just brings people together, and even if it's a subsection of triathlon, it's the same principle. So just an amazing. Yeah, I'm very blessed just as much as Dan is. So yeah, way to be an amazing guest on our podcast, Dan. Thanks so much for being on
Oh,
with.
Yeah.
thanks for doing this, guys. I think this is great. I think talking swimming is important, especially in today's house NCAA. And so happy to do this. And Kyle, I'll be seeing you soon, hopefully at alumni, if not sooner. Nate, it was great to meet you, and really appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah. Great to meet you too, Dan. Thanks for coming on.
All right, well, thanks for having me, guys.